I've got to be honest, that thumbnail alone got me interested in Geomancer. The Final Fantasy franchise is known to fans for the unique storytelling and tropes that repeat through the numbered titles, but one of the most iconic gameplay devices they use is the job system. Final Fantasy XIV currently has 19 jobs, with one additional fan service disappointment. We currently have Warrior, Paladin, Dark Knight, Gunbreaker, Sage, White Mage, Astrologian, Scholar, Monk, Dragoon, Ninja, Samurai, Reaper, Black Mage, Summoner, Red Mage, Bard, Machinist, Dancer, and Blue Balls. Mage. I've gone ahead and added all the jobs from the numbered series, plus Final Fantasy Tactics, into an easy-to-digest format. In-game, concept in-game, and not in-game. From this list, you can see that many of the jobs we currently have to pull from are conceptually in-game, and many of the jobs are reused throughout the series. Jobs we have yet to see that are discussed include Geomancer, Chemist, Necromancer, Thief, Puppet Master, Corsair, Beastmaster, and Blue Mage. You may be asking why I added Blue Mage to this list, but the quick answer is that a limited job isn't a job, and that they already have the tools in place to make that change if they wanted to. Now for the jobs we've yet to see discussed in Final Fantasy XIV. Ranger, Viking, Devout, Mime, Foebreaker, Time Mage, Mediator, Calculator, Onion Knight, Oracle, Squire, Freelancer, Synergist, Magical Soldier, Rune Knight, Mystic Knight, Gunner, Beast, Horror Terror, Saboteur, Sorceress, Berserker, and Toyosaurus. At first glance, this sounds like a lot of options, but Yoshi P has stated that a job has to make sense in the MMO environment. When pulling jobs from existing games, they have to do more than just share the same name. They also have to have gameplay that matches the known design while providing something that jobs already exist in the game do not. This means that the region that we are going to will typically explain or justify the reasoning behind the job choice. It also means that a job will not exist, at least not as a fully playable job, if it can't work in the trinity of healer, tank, or DPS, as they would have to make substantial changes to the current balance and past content if they were going to add something like a true support role. Furthermore, Yoshi P believes they have no choice but to come up with brand new jobs that haven't appeared in the Final Fantasy series before. With all that out of the way, let's take a look at each job's identity, without focusing so much on the name, and determine what the game is currently lacking. Geomancer. Geomancers use bells as weapons and equip light tunics as armor. They can walk across dungeons without fear of traps, like pitfalls or damaging floors like lava. Their signature skill is Terrain, which lets the Geomancer execute special attacks based on the terrain the party is fighting on. In all reality, this is the job the game has been taunting us with the longest, earliest note being hints during Stormblood through the Swallow's Compass dungeon storyline. Geomancy is a far eastern art of reading the future, similar to the Astrologian. However, instead of reading the stars, Geomancers read movements of the earth and water. Master of these elements are essential to the study of Geomancy. Geomancy originated in Yangsha as a discipline, and was rather esoteric art until Ganon Region, the ruler of Doma, learned the art in his youth and used it to conquer his foes. He opened a Geomancer school and brought light to this particular form of magic. Art believes that the root of power is in the earth, and people are connected to it. From movement and whispers of the earth, they are able to divine the answers they seek. Given that Geomancy is taught in Doma, however, it has returned to its status as esoteric following the invasion of the Garlean Empire. All that being said, the current incarnation of White Mage/Conjurer occupies the water stone aspected space and doesn't leave much room for Geomancer outside of weapon type. Next up, we have Chemist. This has also been coined as Doctor, Item Master, or even Salve Maker. Their main weapons are daggers, guns, and rods. They are best known for their abilities involving various items. Usually, this involves having an exclusive access to special items, doubling the potency of recovery items, and most importantly, their unique ability, Mix, which allows them to combine 2 items into 1. They also heal party members for free. With the obvious weapon choice out of the way, rods could be a potential weapon type, or they could default to some sort of carrying container. This was a highly considered job during the anticipation of Endwalker's release. One might call it a runner-up job, To me, this one didn't make sense from the beginning, even if it was hinted in the Crystarium by a small child during Shadowbringers. This game is almost anti-resource dependence, outside of potions and food, which, by the way, you don't pay my sub, so why would... You get my point. If they were unwilling to bring Blue Mage in as a fully operational job due to spells you could learn forever, they definitely weren't going to incorporate a job that was dependent on consumables. Necromancer. Necromancers can summon a random undead or demon to attack by using their job's Oath command, and also may use various other spell types by means of their job's command Dark Arts. In addition, they have innate undead status. And we all saw how the community did last time Dark Arts was implemented. This is another job that has been hinted at as a story of Final Fantasy XIV, albeit mostly through the Thaumaturges. The Necromancer title was also introduced through the achievement system for completion of Palace of the Dead 1-200 solo. While this could potentially be an interesting pet-based class, I feel like the focus on dark-type jobs for 2 out of the 4 expansions so far, we probably won't be seeing this one anytime soon. Thief. Most thieves wield daggers, but some equip short swords or boomerangs. Their armor options are limited to lightweight pieces. Thieves have high speed, accuracy, evasion, and critical hit rates with balanced physical stats, including decent strength, HP, and defenses. Their most prominent ability is to steal items from their opponents. Many variations of this ability exist. With additional training, steal can be upgraded to Mug, which steals items and inflicts damage. For fans of the series, you recognize a lot of the similarities between Thief job and Ninja. Unfortunately, like Geomancer, this job already takes a portion of the identity away, and introducing it would be lackluster at best. If Final Fantasy XIV had a justification for stealing, evasion, threat management, loot, or any other canonical traits for a thief, there might be an argument, but let's face it, the idea is fleeting. Puppet Master, or Automation Master, also known as Gadgeteer or Tinker. They command inanimate puppets and machines in battle. This job at face value is a pet class, and it seemed to work in Final Fantasy XI as a job that could manipulate the components of the mammoth to perform the role of healer, mage, or damage dealer. The problem with this job in its design configuration is that it's stepping outside the normal bounds of the Trinity and finds itself in alignment with Blue Mage. In addition, you can see glimpses of the description of this job as the current manifestation of Machinist. Although not a melee class adept in hand-to-hand combat, they do use automatons to produce additional DPS. After spending a good portion of the video dashing your hopes to bits, the next 2 jobs do seem more feasible, and if you're paying attention, these are the 2 I left out. Corsair, also referred to as Gambler, Pirate, or Cannoneer. The Corsair is a special job class in Final Fantasy XI based on the Gambler. They are incapable of wearing heavy armor and use mostly their knives, swords, and special hex guns to dish out damage. They use the rolling of dice and the drawing of cards to increase attributes of their fellow party members. Corsair is already represented in the game through pirates, although none of them have been seen to use hex guns. The foundation has been laid. If they want to add this job to Limsa Lominsa, or a new area, depending on where our newfound adventures take us, it would be a likely choice. Although there are currently Bard, Dancer, and Machinist, range physical are still the most limiting of the role choices. You may catch an argument from the casters on this, as Blue Mage may actually give them some sort of handicap. Regardless, a Gambler type class with luck dice type rolls, similar to Ast but as a DPS, would fit the Trinity quite well. It also helps that they have a weapon type unseen so far. I struggled with considering Gamblers exactly the same as Corsair, but I think for the duration of the video, I'm going to lump them together. Beastmaster. Beastmasters are characterized by wearing clothing similar to one who works with animals. Beastmasters have been known to use weapons from daggers, axes, and whips. Their stats are usually physical in nature, and their abilities include the ability to catch monsters and release them on their opponents, and can also control the actions of opponents and lure them away. Heavily teased in the Relic side quest filler content Bozja, the Beastmaster role was iconically played by Lion in multiple duels and raids. This one-handed axe-wielding shield bearer showed us exactly what this job is capable of. The job could easily be introduced into the game and wouldn't need to be limited by taming certain animals, because you could gain new companions through the job questline, much like Summoner, and fill out your roster through additional side content if they wanted to add some sort of glamour skin to your little beasties. It may be argued that you wouldn't be true to form version of the job, but I believe this would fill many requirements for the Beastmasters at heart. So out of the jobs with foreshadowing, there are only about 2 of 7 that I believe have the potential to make an appearance: Corsair and Beastmaster. Next, we have a pretty stacked lineup of jobs, and honestly, many of them are painfully obvious they won't make the cut. Let's speedrun this hit list and do a deep dive on the results. Ranger. I could actually see this one, possibly utilizing a crossbow as the 4th range physical job. Viking. It would be cool to dual-wield single-handed axes, but unlikely we will get another melee DPS. Devout. Unlikely, as they are just as powered up version of the current white mage, but it does make you wonder if advanced jobs or superior jobs could exist as an extension of the combat system. Mime. While a really cool concept in a single player game, this job does not fit the MMO at all, especially in a Trinity system. Foebreaker. While this job relies on axes, hammers, and shields, its actual role is too close to a Dark Knight for implementation to be possible. Time Mage. A time-based magic wielder, while having the ability to utilize spells like slow, stop, haste, etc., they can also use spells such as gravity and meteor. This job has been bastardized by the Astrologian and Black Mage, and I don't see them reconfiguring the current roles to essentially build a support class. Mediator. Simply put, trying to justify this job would be a filibuster itself. Calculator. Probably only going to be played by Construct 7. Onion Knight. Squire. Freelancer. Not exactly the same, but mutually unoriginal and only effective through a mastery system not present in Final Fantasy XIV. Oracle/Mystic. Amalgamation of White Mage and Black Mage. Probably a no. Synergist. This to me is Final Fantasy XIII's attempt at Red Mage. While I would love to see an N, Ra, Bar, and Null spells caster, Final Fantasy XIV is too basic to spice things up. Saboteur. I'm not saying yes, but as far as this list goes, a DPS class with the ability to debuff bosses through dots is something the game is clearly lacking since the summoner changes. I would add this to the maybe pile. I was really shocked when I saw that Cloud's official title was Magical Soldier, but here we are. I gotta be honest, watching my character sprout a wing and just deliver chaos with a long katana or big fuck-off sword would be the stuff desk thuds are made of. But I don't see them adding this class, especially after creating Gunbreaker from Final Fantasy VIII and Shadowbringers. Rune Knight, Rune Fencer, Mystic Knight. With pseudo-tank potential comes Great Sword Rune Responsibility. I believe they could use a type of one-handed longsword, magic-based attacks, and mitigation. With that, there is a possibility they will add a class like this, but I don't believe in this exact form. Another maybe. Beast. Yes, but wait. Gambler. Like I said earlier, this was covered with Corsair. Sorceress. Similar to Devout, advanced and superior jobs could be a thing, but most likely, no. Gunner. Basically machinist. Next. Berserker. Do we want to call this warrior? While not exactly the case, I have been in Party Finder with some people who didn't look like they were in control of their character, and trust me, it's not something you want in the game. Toyosaurus. No. Just no. We already got Hrothgar, and based on my Twitter feed, they have more toys than anyone needs. Horror Terror. Yes. I left this one for last. 1, because I love Vincent Valentine, and if you don't, there's something clearly wrong with you. 2, I think this and some other breadcrumbs I left along the way lead to a good theory. Naoki Yoshida, producer, director, and god among men, is working on another title, Final Fantasy XVI. I've spent the last, well, let's just say hours for short, reviewing jobs from the mainline titles, searching for ideas on what the next new job could be. And if there's a chance he would pull it from the currently released titles. To catch you up so far, out of the jobs we've looked at, 16 are pretty much no's, 3 maybes, and as for yeses, 3 plus 1. Corsair/Gambler, Beastmaster, and Horror Terror, aka Vincent. Oh yeah, and then I said Beast for some reason. My justification on Beast is that I don't think Beast/Horror Terror as a standalone thing would be the job, but I believe either transformation or through the use of job storylines, the Warrior of Light could learn how to adapt their body for magical damage and potentially mitigation. Not only would this cover this gap of Rune Fencer, but also tie into the upcoming title release by Creative Business Unit 3. So really, my theory is on these 3 job potentials. Ranged physical DPS, Corsair, utilizing the Hex Gun, a tank or melee DPS Beastmaster, using a single-handed axe and shield or whip, and a tank melee caster, the unnamed Yoshi P job, loosely based on Final Fantasy XVI / Vincent and Beast, utilizing a special weapon, possibly a variation on pre-existing, or hammers. If you stuck around this long, please leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts on my predictions and list a couple of your own. Remember, like, share, and subscribe for future content updates. As always, thanks for watching. As a runner-up, I'd say Blue Mage, but I don't think they can pull their head out of their... They want to add more? Are you fucking kidding me?